All those who guys are sitting there have a batch value. I was a Microsoft ex-employee, so I know blue batch carries what the value. The biggest part, what I feel is, currently, like marketing guy, like HR guy or anyone, has to sell to the person who is coming inside. Whether it is Microsoft, any other company, we have to sell ourselves in IT field. But the real challenge now is the middle-age crisis in IT. What are we doing with respect to middle-aged people? Many people have been flushed out into the market. The real talent is going out, but nobody is bothered about that. Can anybody answer on that, please?
Yeah, I can take that. So,
I mean, especially 40 plus people, 40 plus age people, 45 people who were very good, inclusive of Microsoft or Deloitte or TCS or Amazon. There are people who have been flushed out for various reasons, because they are not up to the technology or it, but still they are talented pool which are not needed in IT. So are we doing anything for those? Because 60 will be the retirement age, 40 will be the like middle-aged people.
yeah, it's interesting. So let me answer this in two aspects. One is about, do we have enough opportunities for people to move out internally, right? And since we spoke about Microsoft, in Hyderabad, we have the IT, we have IDs, we have the development center, we have the consulting group, and I think the kind of environment we have, I was talking to you earlier about that. We have a very flexible internal, we call it the IGP, where people can internally move, and we really promote that kind of environment where people can internally transfer within Microsoft, within India, or they have an option of to even go and work for international locations worldwide, anywhere they can apply. So that's one part of it. Second is the way I look at, and that's also one of the challenges we have in hiring, to be honest, right? That people connote growth as by having a manager title, right? And we always look at people, who really want to go deep in technology, irrespective of the age, gender, whatever. We need great talent, right? It doesn't matter, what demographic you are from. If you are really bringing value to the organization in terms of doing great, technology work for us, because we are a technology company, we would like to hire you and kind of, grow. And you have various opportunities within the company to move internally or do innovative, products or design work you want to do. So I don't know whether it helps you answer, but the intent is not to flush out people. It's then.
Doesn't exist. The guy can start coding and end the life in coding. But here, they have to move up the value chain, but they are unable to move because of the pyramid or because of the senior people. I'm seeing many people.
So, a very different take on it, two folds to it. One is a mindset change which organizations need themselves to look at this talent, and the second is a mindset change of talent itself. And what I mean by those is that are there going to be ages which will define people of what time they should be adding what qualification? Would there be ages for people to say that, oh, hey, I can only work till this time and after that it's a retirement time? I think all of those are myths in minds of people, and at some point in time they need to be busted. So that's one fold of it. The second fold of it is that the kind of disruption which is ahead of us may not even require organizations to have a full-time employee. So our labor laws or our organization structures themselves will undergo a significant change, and what we term that phenomena is open talent. And elements like contracting, elements like freelancing, elements like the balance sheet based employees, all of that has to come to fore. And are we very far away from that? Answer is no. So as much as organizations have to make effort, individuals also have to make equal effort to learn a few things. Is what time is the right time to have a right qualification? You need to define that. People are getting graduation degrees at 70, 75, and that's quite okay. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Very interesting discussion. I'm Vinod from Aurobindo Pharma. I have a question which is slightly more from the demand side. While there is a lot of shift in employer branding and there's a lot of visibility out there, the candidate who finally applies often sees himself or herself selected via second generation specifications, which are based on qualification, which are based on certain, I think competencies are coming into the fore today. I want to touch upon what Deepti and Mohan spoke about. You spoke about cultural fitment, you spoke about media savviness. Is there a scope for HR to think about not only the cognitive space of saying that does he have a bachelor degree or a master's degree, but also some perspective on the arts and sports space? I'm just giving you an example. If you want your organization, or your organization is going through a very dynamic change, you hire people with an MBA or a bachelor's degree, but there's no perspective offered for somebody who has probably represented a state or a nation at a national level. That person's seen competition, that person's seen dynamism, that person's faced a whole lot of confrontation. So that could be a necessary skill set. Because the one point that continuously keeps coming up is your technology is getting obsolete, your degree is going to wear out in a few years. So what is the skill set that you really need to make sure that this person can self-renew? Open to any of the esteemed panelists.
Yeah, so I'll take that. Frankly, Amazon really believes in seeing that the person is culturally fit, and qualification or age or which companies the person has worked doesn't matter so much. In fact, just to cite an example, we had to hire a person who had to head the university relation team, and he had no experience in university relation. He was, trained on Formula One pit shop as to how do you make decisions within a split of a second. And we thought that competency is more important because, when you are going to campus and you are hiring, we need people who can make sharp decisions on the spot. So you're quite correct that, what companies are looking for is not, just is this person from an IIT or an IIM and things like this. What people are looking is that apart from the core skills, does this person have the soft skills, or culturally, does the person fit into? Does he have that, attitude that would be required for the job?
Yeah, in fact, if I can add, increasingly more and more companies, in fact, we've done a research around that, are actually beginning to say that it's not just about, educational qualifications, it's about how do you fit in. And you're most likely to be a better performer who gets trained faster, likely to contribute more. If from a cultural DNA perspective you fit into an organization vis-a-vis just coming with the right kind of qualifications. So increasingly more and more companies are doing work around that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've been on the other side as well, from the supplier side. The only lacuna seems to be is if larger companies like yourselves make it more eminent and more visible out there that we're likely to look at people with other skills rather than education, the universities, and there's a good representation here, would open up their curriculum for what is otherwise called as extracurricular skills and make that part of the curriculum.
I think I'll just add to what the panel is talking about, and I'll agree to your point, and I don't want to refute that. That there's always this need for for a lot of roles, and especially when you're an engineering organization, that you need to hire an engineer and all that. I think those biases exist mostly, I would say, at the campus level. But if once you graduate and you are industry hire, right? For us, to be honest, it doesn't matter. I think to me, personally, when I do the HR interviews or, the cultural fitment of the person to me is paramount. That's most important. And then comes the functional skills. So it doesn't, in fact, if somebody comes with the experience you're talking about, I think that's fascinating to me because I don't have that experience, right? So having that kind of a diversified experience makes a lot of difference in the profile. And there are certain roles. For example, in Microsoft, we have this, this program manager role, which are more external facing, like customer based. And we want that kind of experience of people who can look at things in a very different perspective, right? So yes, I would agree to that. At the college level, probably it is. But when you move in industry, it doesn't matter which college you're from, to be honest.
Yeah, and there are, I think, a significant number of examples over last few years where companies have actually, I think there was an Amazon report out that they're actually hiring short service commissioned officers from the army because then they come in with certain kind of skill sets which are important. There was a story of a Chennai BPO which is going back and hiring housewives because they think they're better managers at doing some things. So I think organizations are actually, I would say, in fact, for me, in many ways, I think academic institutions need to go back because the whole process of shortlisting and getting people into campuses to join them is basis a shortlist, which is always usually basis entrance tests. Why are they not focusing more on building diversified portfolio of candidates to come and kind of study?
Thank you, Nitin. That was actually what I was aiming at. Thank you.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it's a journey.
Yeah.
So as much as you say that your qualifications are prerequisite, organizations as we speak are announcing that qualifications are not as important. The tiers of school from where you are or the pedigree is not that important. So it's a journey, and you'll see that hitting us very quickly. So if we don't kind of make that shift in our own mind of looking at lifelong learning, lifelong employment, different ways of getting employed, that tougher that transition becomes.
Thank you, Vikas. If that statement's made at the academy point of view, it'll help us all. Thank you. Thank you for all those kind answers.
Hi, this is Ashok Reddy from Asta. First of all, thank you very much for sharing your experiential insights. And my request is to each one of the panelists, including the moderator. Could you share, please, your most innovative talent acquisition propositions in your entire career, which paid rich dividends?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, please, sir?
Each one of you, could you please share the most innovative talent acquisition proposition you have brought in, which paid rich dividends in your organization?
One initiative from each one.
I think, first of all, this is a good question, but I think it doesn't need a lot of thinking for sure. But we can all try. I think just to rephrase just to ask you, we want to know from each of us that what is the most innovative TA practice we have been doing individually in our organization? Not in the current organization, but overall you're talking about. Entire career. Wow. Now thinking of the last 17, 18 years of my experience now.
I can actually maybe take a go. In fact, what we see in the market, I think increasingly, and I can talk from a client experience, I think companies are beginning to go back and look at who they hire and who they perform and build an ROI basis that over a period of time. And it's not simple plain vanilla stuff, but defining what it takes to succeed and using people on a combination of assessments to be able to do that stuff, and then go back and check for culture, fit, performance, and do stuff. So I think it's hiring which is very big data driven. I think we're beginning to see a lot of that kind of stuff out there in the market in terms of what's happening.
One of the things that we are doing is that we thought that, one of the leadership principles that we follow very closely in Amazon is customer obsession. And we said that when we are, trying to do so much for customer, any person who comes for an interview is also a customer for us. So what we started doing is any person who comes from X level and above, he gets a survey from Amazon as to how was your experience, any person who comes on site. And we try and see what is it that we can change in ourselves in order to, make that experience for the candidate little better. So that is one of the things that we've just implemented. It is quite cumbersome because, time is limited, but we thought that has given us the best data that we would have received.
Yeah, I can, from the current state of Microsoft, I can give you an example which is currently running right now with us. We believe, that, and we hire a lot of people from campus every year. As I was talking earlier, that 40%, more than 40% of our pool right now is from millennials, right? Because the fact we hire every 20%, 30% every year. Recently, we launched a program called the Foundry Program, which is really targeted at students in the first and second year of computer science, and where students come and do for internship for us for 3 to 4 months, 2 to 3 months basically. And they develop real-time applications for us using Microsoft technologies, which are being used, by customers across the globe, right? And we found that the ROI from the Foundry program was very, very high because you are really hiring pretty much students at the pretty initial first and second year, and you are able to really build a very strong brand for yourself, because when the students go back to the class or their, the colleges, they talk a lot about that, hey, what exciting, because they're not working on a project, they're not working on a dummy, hey, you come work on a system for us. We give them a complete freedom to develop applications from scratch, and mostly, the mobile trend happening, a lot of these apps are mobile based obviously, so we see a very high ROI, and because when we go to the colleges back, when we, the IITs and the top engineering colleges, we are very easily able to offer them the, the PPOs, the pre-placement offers, and they come to us without, because they've seen it. So the ROI, not only from the hiring perspective, but also from the employer branding perspective is huge. And the last but the least, the fact that they're using our technology, they evangelize in the college community, which is huge for us.
One of the experiences that I'd like to share is in one of the organizations I worked is we would actually open an issue or a problem out in the media, social media, and would invite comments around that. And then we would actually look at people who would have criticized it the most and got them to the table to have a discussion and actually offered them the job. Because we believe that someone who invested the time to go through your process and actually put their mind to criticize it as much as they did, probably have some excellent ideas in making it work for you. And we did that for a set of niche positions, and I think we had great dividends coming out of that. The right kind of critical thinking people, you know, who could come in. So that's something I would remember.
Just to share one experience, in my earlier part of the career, we had significant challenge of hiring people on time with the right skill set, and like what I've been discussing for the last 1 hour. Not an easy task. We struggled for 3 to 6 months. Then we said, let's go ahead and adopt a university. We went ahead, we adopted a university which delivers 2.3 lakh graduates, bachelors every year. We trained their lecturers, and we partnered with the university to deliver our programs or a professional course in the last 6 months of their graduation. You don't believe we didn't have any other channel to depend on. We successfully hired 90% of the requirement through that university from multiple locations, and rest of the population was available for the balanced industry. If as an enterprise, if you could push an envelope to make minor investments, you will get significant results.
I would say everything I did every year was very, very innovative. But that being said, current ones. So if you think about Deloitte, Deloitte is an organization which is into professional services. There are 3 things which we focused on: our clients, our people, and community. So we've created a simulation-based case study competition called Maverick. We've engaged through that particular program over 38,000 students in over 100 odd business schools. 15,000 of them were participating with us this year. And we had 3 elements to the program. Element on case study, which basically gives students a real-time feel of what it takes to be in front of a client and pitch their cases. We had a second segment in it called Be the One, where we called people's applications of saying that if you have achieved something in life which is above and beyond your education, it could be your story of your adversity, it could be a story of your social cause, it could be a story of your sportsmanship, why don't you come forward and share that with us? And we'll take that forward and see what we can do with that story. And the third was all about war of bands, and going back to your question on how do you utilize other skills of people, you know, a band and Deloitte are 2 distinct things. But we wanted people to come up and showcase their talent. These business school students are very proud of their bands of their respective schools, and we allowed them to come and perform at our events. So I would say why we do something of this nature. I think multiple reasons for that. One, we want people to be aware of what we do as a business and make informed decisions of looking at us as an organization. 2, through this particular process, if there is a bright spark, there is an opportunity for that individual to be hired. 3, it helps us position our brand appropriately in front of the right audience for them to see and know and experience it firsthand. So multiple ways to look at it. You can use this data for benchmarking, but would that be the same solution for you? Maybe very different.
This is not certainly may not be a question, but more of a request to Deepthi. I heard her saying that some companies are giving away the performance appraisal system. So when they do that, then how are they going about the reward?
Yeah, so Amazon isn't doing away with the performance appraisal system, so I cannot answer on behalf of those companies, but from the little that I've heard that they have other ways to, you know, look at how the employee is growing within the organization and how the person is doing. But they are doing away with, you know, the the bell curve, and they're doing away with the traditional method of appraising people, because the newer generation is not very geared up, or the newer generation feels that these kind of things may not be required. However, Amazon has still continues with their performance appraisal system, so I cannot comment on behalf of those companies.
And all that I can add to this is for companies, and there are quite a few companies in recent years that have done away with this. It just doesn't happen overnight. I think there's years of pre-work that happens to it, in terms of building a process around conversation. So, even if a company does away with it, I think the process of a manager and an individual sitting and having a conversation and putting a development plan or doing what they need to do next, the ability of, to kind of decide where could that next job be, what should they be paid. I think the process of skill building for the manager and the infrastructure to do that conversation, that takes time and years sometimes to do this. So many of these companies thought of this literally 2 to 3 years or 4 years back before they implemented some of these things.
All that I agree. Maybe, they are making it more development oriented. Yeah. But then how do we go about linking the reward?
Gentlemen, I can talk about the real experience of it. Deloitte as an organization has already been on that journey for over 3 years. We have shifted portion of our organization to it. We are looking forward for an overall rollout at Deloitte. If you want to know more about specifics of what we have done with respect to rewards, my request of you would be to go ahead, dig out the HBR issue of March and April this year. And there are very, very detailed, descriptions of it. I don't think we have enough time on this panel to answer that particular question, but that particular article will give you a lot of insights about how we as an organization are approaching it. And certainly to your last comment on development oriented, so Deloitte's model is all centered around the strengths of people, and that's a clear focus.
Yeah, I would like to know from the panel, is it vertical is really a barrier for a good talent acquisition guy? Because as per my experience, so many people from different industries, they have applied for IT. But, when it will goes to the resume to the desk, simply it is going to be rejected. Because it is not my vertical. But as per my experience, as per my knowledge concerned, I would like to know from the interview panel, is it really a barrier for a good talent acquisition guy to work in any industry?
So let me try to answer that. So are you saying the question is that a TA person should be able to work across any industries? Is that what the question is?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I completely agree to that, right? I mean, it's, though I know there are, HR as a function, right? Whether you're line HR or talent acquisition, I think there are, the role per se, is pretty much what it is, right? So I don't see there is somebody who's worked for, let's say, an example of pharma, or of FMCG, cannot work for an IT or a technology firm, because I think the baseline function pretty much remains the same, right? Creating a, right acquisition strategy, having a funnel, and then kind of making your hires. So I don't think so. Having said that, I think there is obviously, when it depends on what level of hiring is happening, right? If you're looking for a talent acquisition leader and you are really building your strategy from grounds up, you may need somebody with kind of that kind of a industry or a domain. But if you're hiring, people at the, at the LT -1 or 2, right? You can hire people from any. So it depends on what the role is, what the scope is. I don't think there is any biases on that, right? That you need to have only a TA person from that particular industry. It doesn't matter to me, to be honest.
I myself have worked under different industry. I was in a pharma before I came to an e-commerce, and before that IT and manufacturing. So I don't think so there are barriers today.
Exactly.
So
I just wanted to add a point here that yes, of course I agree people can work, like in HR, you can work in any industry. I think what's important for whoever aspires to move to different industry is to have the ability to grasp the nature of industry, look at the processes that they follow. Sometimes if it's very technology driven, you need to get your self into the role very fast. You also need to see whether it's a situation of mass hiring or niche hiring, because they both require a different kind of an approach. And if you're able to actually sort of train yourself and skill yourself to handle these different kind of situations, then the basics are the same pretty much.
Yeah, but when we are seeing in the ads or something, their IT experience is preferable for IT guys. For pharma, they are giving specifically, it's mandatory who has to work at least for 5 years in the pharma or in for manufacturing or from aerospace. Any industry, clearly they are specified. The candidate who is having the relevant experience only you can apply. For talent acquisition, I'm asking.
Sure. So, you know, I think it depends on how companies actually take out job specifications and roll them out. But I think broadly, people certainly can. But I do take Uma's point that, you know, if you want to have a seat on the table eventually, you need to know how businesses work. And, you know, if you don't know, then that certainly makes a difference at some period of time. You know, with that, I'll certainly have to bring this to a close, and I'll hand this back to the moderator. But thank you, everyone. Thank you for an engaging discussion. I enjoyed this evening with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, panelists, for the enlightening discussion and for sharing your views. I'm sure each one of us is taking back a lot of valuable insights. I now invite Mr. Ravi Shankar, Branch Head, Hyderabad, to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. A big round of applause for them, please. Ms. Uma Rao. Mr. T.S. Mohan. Mr. Nitin Sethi. Ms. Deepthi Verma. And Mr. Vikram Manocha. I would now like to invite Mr. Ranjit, Zonal Marketing Head, ICFAI ICFI, to deliver the closing address. He has been associated with ICFI for the last 13 years. In the year 2012, joined as branch manager at Trivandrum, and then he has been elevated to zonal head. In between, he has handled our ICFI overseas office at Dubai. He is PG DBM from IIRM. Mr. Ranjit, please. Thank you, panelists.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud and privileged to give closing note on this conclave. Representing an educational institution, we are very much conscious of our responsibility thrust on us to produce or develop world-class professionals through quality education. ICFI University tries to fulfill our responsibility to the corporate and HR by providing education, emphasizing on differentiated curriculum that bridges industry and academic gap. As an university, we are one of the largest providers of case studies for European Council for Case Research, which is having one of the largest pool of case studies. In the current context, we believe that to develop competent workforce, the primary area an educational institution to focus is to design pedagogy and curriculum as per the challenges and demands of the corporate. As a university, we would like to engage with corporates on two platforms. That is designing tailor-made programs for the corporates, and second is facilitating individual employees to choose from a suite of flexible or rather distance education programs. Finally, that they will be awarded with certification, diploma, graduation, or masters. We look forward for areas in which we can partner with various corporates in the segment. Anyway, I'm winding up this. On behalf of ICFI Group, I take this opportunity to thank Shine for arranging this conference in a meticulous way. Thank you very much.